Hey everybody, can you hear me? Can you see me? Testing one, two, three. Hello, hello, hello. Let's make sure we can capture also our friend Anne. Let's see. Uh, 1 second. Actually, I did realize that it's not capturing your output. So let's do that right now. Anne, can you say something?
Testing one, two, three, testing one, two, three.
Awesome. Hey everybody, welcome to our stream today. Today we got a special guest, Anne. She is coming to us all the way from Chicago. Or actually, you like to say just a bit outside of Chicago, isn't that right? Where is
Yeah,
exactly?
60 miles southwest of Chicago in the farmland. That's what I like to say.
Awesome. Well, 60 miles west, farmland. Holy crap. And she's joining us all the way from there. And she's here today to talk to us about something called a self regulation tracker. What does that really mean, and what are we talking about here? What's today's show going to be all about? We'd love to hear like kind of a rundown and just kind of an intro to like what exactly we're doing here. And by the way, guys, you see like a really fancy like bit emoji for Anne. We're trying something new today. We're trying something new. As you guys can see, like a lot of new visualizers in the stream today. For me, I'm also looking a bit, weird. I have a brand new kind of camera angle just to test things out. It does look like that my counter is kind of falling off. I will fix that during the stream, I promise. But and for the meantime, give us a quick rundown. Go ahead and share what you're all about.
Okay. I'm going to let you do any introduction you want officially because that's okay. The first thing is that we're going to end up at the self-regulation tracker. And so before that, I want to go through just a little bit about thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in all kinds of situations, but primarily the ones that I went through as a professional were at an agency called St. Rose Center. And it's a I guess I'm introducing myself. It's a developmental day training center, which means that we had clients that were 22 to 66 years of age, and we helped teach them to process the world. You know, they'd gone through kind of a special high school, and then they were just like, they need to get into life. And so a lot of what I did was worked with I was a counselor, social worker, and I worked with thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of individuals. And we set a lot of goals. And that's kind of like what we're doing here now is that um, the tracker, it allows you to set up a situation, and then you go through this processing, and the output is that you got a new set of goals and thoughts and feelings about how to approach something. And so that's the bottom line. And so I thought that giving some examples like from the client and a little bit from what we were talking about this week as a group at COEX3, we could talk about that process of experiencing life through these expressions, and then processing it, and how do we get it to the next stage.
That's really fascinating, Anne. So basically, you're saying that this is like a framework, right? That has been refined over many years of working with, different adults you mentioned with, disabilities, and also just, I guess, your life experiences. And that's nothing to scoff at, Anne. I think you have tremendous life experience, so much to teach all of us. And essentially, this is a way for you to take any situation and any feeling that you're currently like feeling from that kind of situation and process it down to something that is, I guess, actionable for you to use. Like, would you say actionable is the word? Like, what is the end outcome here after you reflect through everything? What do you hope to get out of it?
Right now, right now we're kind of sticking with the word goal, just
Mm.
because we're thinking that all those inputs that you have into your brain, like the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and other sensations that you're collecting information for, it goes into your brain as an input. It gets processed, and then it comes out as a new goal, or it comes out as a new goal or new behavior. And so you're always taking in information, and your brain is challenging it in some way. And this is you, whoever comes out at the you, and all those behaviors you want to put together, all those choices that you make, all the decisions you make, that's who you become. That's who you are. And so it's like, it's real important through something like a tool like the tracker is to be able to have a little bit more control, conscious, kind of like a conscious ability to control that information that's coming into your brain. I might seem confused, but
No,
there's
it's
sense
you're very
somewhere.
succinct, and I always love that about you, Anne. And by the way, guys, just for a bit of a background, Anne is a wonderful contributor inside the Coix 3 family. She's been giving us so much insights about just so many different things in regards to like mental health, psychology, how can we process all the different things that happen in our life, whether good or bad, right? And how do we make meaning out of it? And I think that's the whole concept we have behind being intentional, right? Being intentional is all about finding meaning, right? Finding the true why, your true north, if you will, of like everything that you're trying to get accomplished in your life. And, Anne shared with me something very nice. If you guys can see in the top of the screen here, we already see like, you know, this is kind of the process she's going through. And I don't know if you want to go through the tracker just yet, at this moment, but I just wanted to kind of go through the main points just to give all our viewers a chance to understand, you know, exactly what we're trying to accomplish here and the steps we're going to go through. And obviously, when I first saw this as well, my first impression was like, wow, that's a lot of thinking. And I'm like, yes, well, I think, Anne, you said it very well, which was like, every good idea or every good thought has a lot of thought put behind it. It's not so easy, right? And
The more aware you can be, the more you can control your destiny, really.
exactly. Like, what would be your definition of self-regulation? Since you called this a self-regulation tracker, I know there's a history behind the naming. You started with like cognitive behavioral therapy, then you moved to something else. So, like, what's the history behind the naming here?
Well, the first thing I thought that would be cognitive behavioral therapy, and that's because there's that element in here. There's a certain point where we ask ourselves, by doing this tool, the tracker, to look at those cognitive distortions and to dismiss or to explore them a little bit. There's another part that it's got a feeling wheel that we're going to introduce, and I have a reference somewhere on this page about where that came from, but it's got like about 130 feelings on there, and it starts with some basic ones and it expands out and you get more in tune with feelings like anger or happiness or mistrust, whatever. That's the second one. Go up
Got
to the
it.
second one for the feeling. Yeah, all these are the cognitive distortions. There's a space on the bottom where you can
Mhm.
go into them and get a little bit of explanation. So use them to be evaluative.
Hmm.
And then the third part of this is the self-affirmations. Conrad's been working, well, he did it through one of these Friday live stream groups. He was working with self-affirmations, and I thought that was part of it because it's like if you're being conscious and aware of what's going on inside your mind, then it's like you can put positive thoughts into it, and that'll help kind of turn the thoughts around. And so they come out in a direction that you're more happy with. So you start with the situation and you're going to come out with kind of a freshness of thought. It's like, okay, I've thought about this, I've processed this, and now I can set a better behavior, direction, goals, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and for those who are unfamiliar with the self affirmation database, just quickly showing it on screen here. Basically, it was a very fun project, I'd say, a very meaningful one that we did together with the Coix 3 family, which kind of allowed us to come up with a way to for everybody in our family to share with each other like real stories about situations that well, let's what's this like real stories about how they dealt with certain feelings in their life or certain situations that were potentially very hard to deal with, right? That nobody else in their immediate support circle were able to support them with, and feel like even though you might be working on your own projects, fighting your own battles in your own weekly war, there is someone out there across the world that feels the same way that you do, that has been in the same situation and is willing to share their story with you so that hopefully you can deal with it too. So I think that is something that was very meaningful for us to build. And I love that Anne is taking the initiative here to come out and say, hey, here's an additional added value on this tracker that has helped you personally, Anne, and now you hope it's going to help everybody else in the community as well. So huge thanks for that. I really appreciate your enthusiasm there, Anne, and your ability to bring out this information.
Well, I do have to say about the self-affirmation is that you started off when you were doing it in the live stream with about 20 feelings, and since then there's now over 200 feelings, and
Wow.
there's about 75, 76 different self-affirmations. And Krista and Dean have been putting in a lot of work towards that too. They've added dimension as we've gone.
Wow, wow. Well, I definitely appreciate all the contributors. Definitely shout out to Dean. Shout out to Krissa. Even shout out to Alyssa. I seen Alyssa put in a lot of stuff in there as well. And I think the best thing is we have so much input from so many different types of
Oh,
people.
Darius.
Darius
Darius is
also.
up.
Darius, we can't miss Darius. Darius is definitely one that has added on, and Darius is in the chat as well, along with the other people we mentioned. So definitely huge props to you guys for making it more and more meaningful for everybody in this community. So, and what's next? How can we get started? What is the first thing we have to do whenever we want to start using something like this? Like, how do you envision the user experience to be like? Mm.
Um, Wait a minute. Do you want to answer that one question first? Thomas said something about your camera, and I think you're lagging.
Okay. Let me show that. So, we actually have a different camera angle once we start presenting into the show. Let's do that now, actually. But thanks for the input. We're trying out a new stream setup. So definitely all input is good input. Thank you very much. Let me jump into the main presentation here, I guess, since it's time. Can you guys see all this? Just making sure and making sure screen test is okay and all that.
Hi, Darius. Say.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is essentially Ann's regulation tracker, self-regulation tracker. Please go ahead and give us a breakdown.
Okay. Before I do that, you had asked a question before of what is self-regulation, and
Yes.
I do want to add a little bit here. There's a When I was reading up on the material, there was two things that were very close to each other: self-control and self-regulation. And everything about the self is for your own self. And basically, what's the difference between having self-control and having self-regulation? And I know that other people use self-regulation differently too, because like we were using self-regulation and emotions, and you can use that in learning, and there's other aspects. But the basic distinction is between self-control is kind of like switching goals. I made an allusion in some of my prior work to having a cross-country ski lane and actually stepping out of one track and into the other. When I was high school 40 years ago, I was a cross-country skier, so that's why we're using this. But then self-regulation is kind of like staying in the same lane, but it's like making adjustments. And so the similarity was like if you took off your hat because it was you were building up too much heat, and so it's like you're still on the same track, but you've made an adjustment. And so that's kind of like where I want you to hold self-regulation and self-control. Like we can always decide to step in the other lane. There's no problem with self-control. They're not competitive, but self-regulation is more like you're taking the same goal that you've been working on and you've been making an adaptation. And so then now when we step into the self-regulation tracker, it's sort of like how it's going to go with the self-regulation. You're making little adjustments as we go. And the first thing we're going to do, if you can open it up, Conrad, can you open up number 1?
Okay. Number 1 is opened.
Okay, I don't see it. Is it open?
On my screen, yeah. If you're watching the live stream, it's a bit behind, so you should look at the screen share between me and you, like the Jitsi call.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, the situation number 1, and that's the main part, and there it goes. It's going to ask you to take a situation that's of interest to you, and take any situation you want, positive, negative. Negative's kind of better because you're going to go through a process of changing it. And you're going to write that, and if you typed under, or you see the section where it goes new across there, and then under 1A, you have all the room in the world to type everything you want to type. And you whatever situation you're in. Last Sunday, we were with the council meeting, and I used the example of you know, I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go to the example that I want to use.
Sure, go
Um,
ahead.
there was a incident, and Conrad's still laughing at me about it, and Shania, or Shania. Um, I got into trouble with Rich. Well, I've not really gotten into trouble, although he's in the room next to me. So after this conversation, we might go through the situation in reality. But what I did was, and I'm going to explain the situation. If I was at the keyboard, I would be typing all this out just to get a record of it. And then 1A stays with each of the numbers that go along, so you
Treat
don't
me as
lose
your
yourself.
scribe. I'll be your scribe. I'll scribe. I'll
You have
transcribe
that?
everything. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'll be your scribe.
Okay. The situation is that Anne was talking with her cousin, and she got triggered into a memory of being much younger, like 12, 13 years old. And I was working at my dad's gas station, and I had a favorite candy bar. And, even though we were 12 years old, I'd get 3 days a week. We wouldn't fight with the siblings so much. It was great. And so, but when I got to the station, I would always have my favorite candy bar. And when I was talking to my cousin a couple Sundays ago, I got trapped into that memory. And so then the next thing I know is I'm at Amazon and I'm ordering a box of this candy bars. And it's like, there's nothing about this whole situation that was good. I mean, I'm a diabetic. I've just lost 60 pounds over the last year. It's like I've been really working on weight, but that craving had gotten stuck in my head. And so then what to do. And the next thing you know is the candy bars actually in the house. And then I'm like hoarding them. I've got them hidden from my poor Rich. Rich and I have lived together or been together for 26 years. Not married, but we've been together, and he does the finances, and he also worries about my weight because he's very protective and wants me to have good things in life. But I didn't want to tell him that I gotten these candy bars, one because of the fat content, or the sugar, but the other part was the money. It's like we're doing other things in our life and we don't have the money, and so I've gotten 2 strikes against me. And so the thing I did was I hid it. I didn't want to tell Rich. I still haven't told Rich. Like I said, he's probably hearing it now for the first time. um, but I didn't tell him. And then I ate all the candy bars. And I'm not saying there was like 12. I'm saying that there was like 20, 30 candy bars in this box. And I ate them all, and I was sneaky and I hid them, and it was just terrible. I don't know if anybody else has done something like that before, but it was pretty terrible. So that was my situation that I'm coming into this with. Thank you for scribing for me, Conrad.
So
I'm trying not to be too embarrassed at the same time, but
no, nothing
that's
to be embarrassed about. And by the way, I appreciate so much that you're being so open on our sharing in this stream, because I think the value of this really comes from like how open you are in your sharing. Like if you're not able to be open about like a certain feeling or certain situation you're trying to deal with, like you're not going to be able to process it efficiently, at least to the point where it becomes meaningful to understand, and then make proper movements onwards. And hopefully by the end of this stream, by the end of you going through the system, you would also find out exactly what you should do from here on out, because I think that's something that would be interesting.
Yeah, before we started, I had half of this written out because, I thought, okay, I was going to work it through the system, and I didn't finish, and I thought I'd finish now, but now I'm going to finish it, and we are going to come to a conclusion. There will be something I can do. But for the time being, it's scary. Okay, that's the next part. That's 2. Okay. Next one is 1B, and that's rate the challenge of the situation, with 10 being the highest difficulty. So we're moving over to, had to hide this from someone. Okay. We're moving over to 1B, and I would rate this probably, it's right up there with taxes. I've come down and calmed this, so I'm going to say 8. I'm going to say this is an 8-level difficulty. I've been suffering with this guilt thing. We're waiting for the bill to come in from Amazon, and it's like everything's building up to a peak.
I'm going to help make this thing a bit better, because this would be a lot easier to read like this. And then I'm going to make this one the descriptor for it. So this will be short, like ends can be bar experience, right?
Well, the one thing I want you to remember, though, is that when you turn to 2, 3, and all the ways down the line, 1A is going to be following us. And so we kind of want a better thing to look at so we remember what our original situation was.
Of course, I'll make sure that happens. I'm just saying that
Okay.
for the title, unfortunately,
I
in
see.
Notion, like the line breaks don't really translate as well as they should. So
Okay.
we're gonna use this instead. So yeah, perfect.
Okay. Good.
Cool.
And you got it. Okay, so now we're ready to go to 2.
Okay, so we hide 1. Now we go to 2. So what kind of feelings resulted from this situation?
Oh my Lord. This bar, by the way, it's like it's got 7 in the middle, 7 basic feelings. And after that, you go out to the middle ring, and it's like it takes each of those. Like if I'm feeling fearful, I'm gonna look at the next ring out and I'm gonna say scared, anxious. And it's like, yeah, I'm feeling all those things. And then I go out to the circle past that, and I'm looking at it, and it's going to be I'm not helpless. I can figure it out. I'm kind of scared of. I'm not sure if I'm more scared at this time of Rich or myself for what I'm doing here. It's definitely overwhelming, and it's worried. So it's like all those things apply. So and you can go back now to the regular part of 2
Okay.
and go down a little bit. Okay, so you're opening up 2. There he is, 2A.
Yeah. By the way,
Okay.
guys, if I need to zoom in anymore, just let me know, okay? There's a lot of text on this screen, and it's important to read at least most of it. So let me know if anything is hard to read, and I will definitely zoom in for your convenience. Sorry, go on, Ann.
Oh, and thanks for the compliments. I just took a second to read, and thank you. Sheshwas, I can't say that. Conrad, help. Shesh.
Maybe you can also help us too, Shush. What, man? I don't want to also say it wrong as well, but if you can let us know how to pronounce your name, that'd be awesome. But Ann, go ahead. What you want to say?
Okay. Going to the 2. So we've got our situation of interest has followed us down. I appreciate the extra. Now, if you just click anywhere in 2A,
Okay.
and automatically it puts out those basic 7 right in the middle. Remember that we saw, and so yeah, that circle there. It's down here under the primary feelings. Could you raise it up a little higher? Yeah. Okay. No. Put 2A up higher on the screen.
Okay, 2A higher.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. The feelings I had, I just click on the ones that I feel are relevant. I feel bad. Yes.
Okay.
I feel fearful. Feel disgusted.
Okay.
And that's about it on this one. And so then I'm going to go to the secondary feelings, which is the middle ring of feelings. And so click on that.
Middle ring here. Okay.
Yep.
So we click here.
And then all those feelings are done. And if you notice too, they're color coded. So the ring that was bad, that and it looks kind of like a bluish green here, but those that all the bad feelings are the same colors. All the fearful colors in the first ring are the same color in the second ring and the third ring. Did you see how that worked? Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So basically, like, and if I could understand, basically what we have so far, right, is we wrote down the situation of interest. We're rating it on a scale of like how badly we feel about it, or how emotional we feel about it, perhaps, is a word
we
can
want
use.
to understand the feelings in this part of the test, or the
Correct. And
tracker.
then now we move to the next step, which is now drilling down exactly what we're feeling. Like, these are the high level feelings that you feel bad, you feel fearful, you feel disgusted, right? But then what's next? What's your secondary feelings? Like, what would you put here?
Okay, click on that one again, and we'll go down it. Click 2B. I would say stressed, the blue one on the top.
Stressed. All right.
Okay, on the next bunch of colors, I would say scared, anxious, insecure,
anxious,
weak. I'm really running the
no worries,
gamut.
that's why we're processing this.
Yeah. Okay, now go down to the pink ones. I don't feel any of those anger ones. I feel the gray ones. I feel disappointed with myself. And I feel awful. And I guess I'm going to look at some of the blue ones too here. I feel guilty.
Okay.
A little bit vulnerable because I'm afraid what Rich is going to say. And the ones below that I think are positive. I don't feel anything positive about this. So,
Do you feel
okay, we're going to
optimistic at all about this? Do you feel powerful
not
because you
yet,
ate
not
it?
at this point. I don't feel optimistic. I mean, I'm hoping for the rainbow at the end of this session, but
Right. And again, I
okay,
think this is so fascinating because, and what you've just described here is like, you've also made it so easy for you to, I guess, move forward to the next level of the feeling circle because the green kind of correlates with the green, right? As similar to
right,
here. If you're
right,
bad, then this correlates to the next round, which is, here you have stressed. And if you were scared, or fearful rather, then you have scared into the next one and anxious. So really, it's helping you understand your emotions on a whole new level. And I guess you said that right at the beginning, but wow, it's really getting there. Yeah, go on,
Oh,
man.
and one more thing too. At any point in any of these, you can add your own feelings. I know that there's 130 total feelings on this whole circle, but
Right.
there's, like I said, in the self affirmation, there's already over 200 feelings. So feel free when you get your own to add that. So, anyways, let's
Wow.
go over to the tertiary. Now, if you can, 2C and 2D, they're both the tertiary, the wider circle.
Okay.
But on one, there's so many of them. On one, I put the positive feelings, and the other, I put the negative feelings.
Got
So
it.
if you go to the positive feelings, I think we're going to skim down that list really quick. I don't
Okay.
think there's any, but let's open it just to make sure.
So inspired, creative, courageous, maybe. Uh,
No,
cheeky, a
no,
little bit
not there
cheeky.
yet. Here, click on. Oh, you're clicking on it. Inquisitive, curious, joyful, free, no, anything, astonished, perplexed, purple. There's a
Perplexed.
perplexed.
All
I
right.
am perplexed with my behavior, and that's the only one.
Okay. Why is perplexed positive? Can I ask you that? Why would you consider perplexed to be a positive feeling?
Maybe it's because you're curious and open and ready to look into answers. I'm not sure exactly, but that's my guess. And
Got
we're
it.
gonna let the dog run through here. She's going on her way to her kennel, I believe. So if you hear pitter patter footsteps, that's Rich checking down the puppy. She's like, says, "No, run, run! I'm the gingerbread man."
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right,
Okay,
go
so
on.
we're gonna face it. Let's go to the negative feelings.
We're here. We're ready.
Okay, I'm gonna say stuck.
Okay,
I'm gonna say the whole thing's out of control.
got it.
We already got overwhelmed on the other one. Uh, okay, go down to the next level.
Okay,
Um, frightened,
okay.
I guess overwhelmed on this one. Worried.
Oh, you want the overwhelmed on this one? Yes or no?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I want
got
it
it.
under this. Um, I think that's. Can you roll it up a little bit?
Sure.
No, the other direction.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, yeah. Nervous and exposed.
Hmm. Okay,
Okay, I could probably skim over all the pink ones because that's the anger ones, and I am no point of feeling anger at this. This one,
embarrassed.
embarrassed. I'm appalled by my behavior.
Got it.
I'm horrified by it, and there's dread.
There's
Okay.
dread.
Oh, there's a blue level too. Oh my god. Okay, embarrassed.
Sorry, can you also explain to our viewers here, like, why is there the dash S dash D? Like, what are these? Like, why is there two embarrassed?
Oh, that's because it's like if you go up to the wheel, like an embarrassed S will mean that it came in on the sad one. S is for sad, the blue one. And so there's an
Oh,
embarrassed on this sad level, and there might be an embarrassed on like I don't know, like there's two overwhelmed, one in the bad area and one in the fearful area. And so
got
you'd
it.
have to do some soul searching there.
All right. So, for people who are not as familiar with this circle, perhaps they might use both at the beginning. Hmm.
Yeah, they could use as many as they want. Because at the end, what you're going to do with these is you're going to try to take just kind of take a view over. Like I might look at 2B and I say, okay, out of all those feelings, and I felt a lot of things, what is the most important? So out of this whole circle, this whole exercise here on the feeling level, I might want to name like 3 feelings that are most important to me. And
Got it.
that'll help you define when you go into the self affirmations.
Yeah, and Shushwap actually had a very interesting comment. He said that he's typically annoyed and frustrated by someone asking, a direct question of how that make you feel. And how do you deal with that? Because Anne, I believe that's a question you get asked a lot.
Uh,
How do you deal with that?
about well, I have a direct experience with that in that and I didn't it didn't come out when we were being introduced earlier, but I have a psychiatrist, and he
Mm.
asks all the time, how do you feel? What do you think about that? What did it make you feel like? And it's like, it is truly annoying. It is truly annoying. And it's like, but the thing is that if you can answer him, then he can take it to the next step. He can help guide you through that process. And so part of my openness is that between many different doctors and psychiatrists, psychologists, I've probably been in the field of psychiatry now for 36 years on the couch side. And so and I'm still running to this issue. It's like, where did this come from? It's been buried in my past somewhere. So okay, we can move on.
Awesome. Okay,
Okay.
so these are all the
You can close
feelings.
these close these down for a while. We'll revisit this later, but close it
Awesome.
down for
So
now.
number two, I'm feeling progress. We should have like a progress tracker here. We should be like, you're halfway done, or something like that. I like that. Oh, let me actually add that. I'll add that for you. I'll add a formula somewhere, and I say this is, how much percentage you are complete. I think that'd be
Okay.
very nice.
Okay. There's something on that Thomas said, though, and I'm not sure what he's saying. Could you look at that?
Oh, Thomas is asking Shushwap, what triggers the feeling, I think it also matters. Like that's this one thing I was going to add on too, Sometimes it matters who's asking the question. If it's someone that doesn't care about me, right, or I feel like doesn't care about me, asking the questions like, "Oh, how does that make you feel?" It can come off as sarcastic, it can come off as very like, non-caring, come off as very like
Formula.
abrasive even, yeah, or even like, something malicious there. And I think that also has a connotation. But let's let that conversation kind of go for a bit, and then we'll jump back in when there's a bit more context to talk about
I
as
do
well.
want to say
Yeah.
something, though. Sometimes, because I've been around, like this particular doctor that I'm seeing now, I see him
Mm.
2 hours a week, and it's been going on for like 21 years. And it's like when he says, what did you think about that, or how did you feel? It's like, oh damn, he's asking me that question, and I might be saying that out loud back to him. It's like, and he laughs, because we both know that I'm at some crossing point that I either answer the question or I go back to it in a different direction, but everything's okay, so whatever I say next. Okay.
Mm.
So going to three, we've opened up three.
Yes.
Three is kind of a positive. Oh no, three is this one. 3A asks us to summarize or reframe, and this is really an important step: is to reframe the thoughts into something very, more succinct. It's like I've got, how many little lines or paragraphs written on 1A, and so this one I'm going to ask anybody using it to summarize for themselves more clearly what 1A is saying. So if I was going to put in a sentence or two, let me think here for a second. I would say that Anne is still. Can you? Yeah, have to type this one.
Your scribe is here.
Anne is feeling tremendous negative emotions because she has purchased and eaten way too many candy bars, and she still hasn't told the love of her life and personal accountant. Okay, so that's it. That's my brief thing. So it's like I'm holding it in my mind in a tighter way. So that should be good.
And I think if Rich read that, maybe that would even help the situation already.
Oh yeah, you're worrying about me. That's good. I do. It's like neuro linguistic programming stuff. Boy, that's really in deep. I'm not that much of a professional. I'm professional light. But okay, we'll go on. Tell me when you think it's important to go back to those kind of questions. 3B, what initial behavior action resulted? The behavior is that I'm at a stalled point. Although I'm really sure that Rich is going to know about what's going on after tonight. And that I haven't told Rich, which seems to be one of the dilemmas. And I'm starting to feel more responsible, like it's not Rich I should be scared of, it's my own behavior I should be scared of. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, you are feeling immediate guilt from not telling someone in your life that should know about this, right? But it's not, that shouldn't be what you're feeling bad about. You should be feeling bad about the experience, maybe itself.
That I haven't been able to come to terms with it, you know, like I had to tell Dr. Marvin, and he's known about it for like 2 sessions now, but I skipped him the whole time I was eating the candy bars, and the person that I am most honest and truthful with, I couldn't even tell him. And it was like, because I thought he would say something like, well, let's fix the problem. And I didn't feel like fixing the problem. I was really enjoying having all that sweets.
Interesting. So if I could then say, like, maybe your dilemma is twofold. One is that you haven't told someone you care about, and the other one is like, and that's just one of the people you care about. The other person is your psychiatrist, right, Dr. Marvin, and he also.
I've kind of dishonored that relationship and that in that part, and so that's something else to deal with. But we're going to say, you know, we're going to move on at this point. We're saying that what's the initial behavior and action, and so we're kind of like caught up at this point. This is the action behavior that's resulting.
Yeah.
Right today, you know.
So real today life. Is your Independence Day, so to speak.
You're hoping for a happy ending yet. I see that. Okay, move on. Yeah, we're going to
she
4.
Cares about her life that she cares about, and feeling guilt about just about the situation or about telling people. I'm not a bit clear on that.
I'm feeling, well, I'm there's a little bit of a shame to it because I should have talked to him about it more directly, but I'm also feeling at this point sort of curious. It's like, why has this been so hard? And it's like, one of the things that I know enough about psychiatry now is that if I'm feeling this bad, I'm feeling this strong of emotion, most likely it has some carry back to something that happened much earlier in my life. And so that's just up Dr. Marvin's, you know, that's just the kind of thing that he deals with best. Is like saying, okay, when do you first remember this? You know, kind of taking you back to that time.
And just to answer a few of the questions in the chat, Rashid, what we're doing right now is a tool for you to do self-reflection, almost like at inside for your own feelings and situations that you're trying to process, right? How do you go about the step-by-step process of like understanding the feeling, you know, understanding how it makes you feel, you know, what exactly is that feeling? We have a whole feelings wheel if you want to go back in the video and check it out. And also, like, you know, rating it, right? How extreme, you know, does the situation kind of factor in your life, so to speak, right? How big of a mental burden is it on your psyche? So definitely.
For me, it was rated really high because most of my life is really, really grand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 100%. It's like I don't have big problems. You know, and so, and the one thing too is I, you know, really didn't highlight, but on the situation of interest, the main one, you can look at that as far as your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. You know, it's like, you know, it got stuck in my head, you know, was one of my thoughts. The being triggered, you know, that was part of my feelings, you know, it took me back. You know, I'm thinking out. I know it's against my health. I know it's against my money, you know, so there's thought processes. And so the whole thing is like, you know, kind of combining all those 3 areas.
I love it. So let's move on to number 4. I think number 4 is at the right time. So what changed was or is desired, and what had or has gone well? What does that mean?
Okay, so this is kind of the positive part. And okay,
I'm just moving the.
Okay.
There you go.
The part is, well, what change is desired? And that's, what is it that I want? I mean, the change I would really like is I would like to be able to go back to being honest with my life experiences and talking to the people that I love and trust most. I would like not to be carrying the shame. Like, you know, when we go back deeper now, it's like, you know, just thinking now is that part of the experience of my childhood was that I stole food a lot to take care of my hunger. And
Mm,
so, even now thinking back, okay, there's a trigger that goes back to, at one point in my life, being able to steal food or, sneak food, that was really important survival need for me.
got it. Got it. So then there was a question in the chat by Tom, and you can feel free to answer or not answer. It's completely up to you. But he asked, like, is it a trust issue that you feel here? Is there a trust
Um,
issue?
there's lots of trust issues. I mean, I'm feeling that I'm not trusting Rich is going to be an okay enough person so I could trust him without being afraid of his response. Because I know Rich gets really angry and he yells and he gets frustrated and, because he's trying to do all these good things. And here I'm like kind of trashing out my diet. And it's like with Dr. Marvin, there's a trust issue because, you know, I felt so strongly that he was going to skip me right to good Ann behavior that I didn't want to deal with him at the time because having that sweets was so important to me at the time. And then there's a trust issue of myself. I don't trust myself that I can't do this again because I've been asking myself this question since then. Is like, would I repeat this same mistake? And I don't know if I would. If I think if given an easier chance, maybe to get the sweets. I mean, we're talking about a whole box of candy, like the box that you put on a store shelf.
Right.
Would I do that again? Probably. So there's a trust issue with myself. This is a good question, though.
No, I love it. And it seems like we got a lot more pinpointed here, right? It's like, well, you have kind of three big goals, I guess. One is like more like a sharing goal. You want to be able to share your experiences more, no matter positive or negative. You want to make it very easy for you to be able to share an experience. You want to know that you can trust the people in your life to react positively, or at least in a way that's not going to be immediately negative, right? And then the last one is like trusting yourself, right? How can you make sure that you yourself, if you deem this as a negative behavior, which it seems like you have done so far, and that might change as we go on, but it's interesting that right now it's a negative one, so let's leave it at that. So would you do this negative behavior again? And I love that we've kind of broken it down to these 3 points. It's very clear, very succinct, and I think a hallmark of how useful this template is.
This is exactly how it's happened every time I've used it. Even though I couldn't get through it on this particular situation.
I love it.
Now, what has or has gone well is that I appreciate being able to share it here, and I hope that I'm helping somebody else. Understand that sometimes we get these really hard situations that we have to deal with, and it's like I was grateful for going through the process because it made me feel better. And so the fact that I can share it on, when Conrad brought up, it's like, oh, we could do this on a live feed. It's like, wow, and then, it kind of took a certain amount of courage or acceptance that I was going to do it after I thought about it today, as far as this candy experience.
No, and
So,
again, like I admire your courage. I admire your openness. Like as you always are able to. At least there's two things I admire a lot about you, Anne. That one, you're able to be open about your experiences. I think on a very wide level. I mean, there's not much in your life that you're not able to be open about, at least with us so far. So I think that's been amazing. And the second bit is like, using the motivation of wanting to help others as your kind of push to say, hey, how can I do this out loud? And this is exactly in the whole ethos of our community, right? It's like, hey, we all do things on our own. We all are fighting our own battles, having our own struggles. How can we do this out loud? How can we do this with a community so that everybody else can learn from the experience and add to the experience? Like, I'm sure, all the input that's coming in, and we've already said, Tom's question has helped us, refine down one of these points to something more understandable and more digestible. So I love that.
yeah, so there's always something to be said about the communities. It's like this community in particular. I mean, there are so many strong people, and they've come in, better able to define what they want to do in life. They may not know how to get to it yet, but there's a strong interest of people, really living their life to the best in this group. So I'm
Love it.
kind of proud to be here. So
We're proud to have
Okay,
you. Let's go on.
5.
Woo,
Okay.
halfway there.
We're going to try to make this one short because I know we've touched on enough negative before, but as far as, I have to like move ahead with it. It's like, so just from the difference between what I experienced at the beginning, as far as being what didn't go well, and what what I'm experiencing right now is what didn't go well. Two different things. Okay. So for me, looking at this right now, what didn't go well? We've already hit on trust and dishonesty. Well, dishonesty, not much, but those are the big issues.
Well, admission of the
You know,
truth,
another
right?
one, omission of the truth. Look at this one too, self-destruction. As a
Okay.
diabetic, it's something, it's like, to go into a little bit more detail, I am seeing a psychiatrist for basically 3 reasons. First, I have dissociative identity disorder, which in the old days they used to call it multiple personality, and so that's a whole bag of worms or something we don't have to get into.
Sure.
um, but one of the things is depression with suicidal ideation, and then there's another one with PTSD. And so those are my main issues, and they had to do with being mainly sexually abused before the age of 5. And so that's my canned version of what's wrong with me. And so just thinking right now of the self-destructive nature of it, and it's like, I know as a warning thing that if something is coming up that's going to hurt myself or any of the other parts within me, then I have to pay attention to it. And so this is now, self-destruction is looking like a real big problem.
Mm,
So, I've gotten to that part of, I've developed my thoughts into that point. So anyways, let's go move on to 5B. What are the obstacles?
of course. And,
I have
and
to ask,
before
was
we
there
move
anything
on,
as far as the group? Because that was kind of a strong statement. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, well, first addressing you, then addressing the group, like addressing you, like I think it's very valuable that you're coming to us with again so much life experience, and I say that with like a huge blanket statement, which is nowhere, I guess, respectful enough of all the life experiences you have to bring to the table here to talk to us about this, because I think that there's just so much that we can learn from your experience. Like, I like that you made a little joke about, hey, you've been in the psychiatrist kind of position, but on the couch side, right? But I think actually that's probably one of the more insightful places to be, right? Because then you can express your feelings as someone who is going through the process. Like for all of us, we are using this as like we are seeing this tracker as a potential user. Like we are going to be using this and trying to process our thoughts and feelings and behaviors, right? So for us, it's extremely important to know that the creator yourself has been coming at this with all the care and intention and emotional kind of feelings that to make this a really meaningful thing for us to be able to process our own feelings and our everything that we need to do to get to the real truth of what's happening in our lives. So I think on that angle, there's no one better that I think would be able to present this to us and share how it works. And I think Darius is saying like a really good point inside the chat, which is like emotional honesty helps improve accuracy, right? Otherwise, our cognitive
Exactly.
bias can change our perception towards something potentially unrealistic or distorted. And I think that's where a lot of our problems come from, is that we are not able to open up even to ourselves, and therefore we believe falsehoods about ourselves, right? We believe the wrong bias, we follow down the wrong cognitive biases, we go down the wrong rabbit holes, and then we end up at the end of decades unhappy and bitter, and we're saying why, how did we get here, right? So I appreciate that sharing a lot.
There's so many different points of that we could stop and take a view of ourselves, and just look at us honestly and say, where do I want to take this? I
Yeah.
didn't want to take this in a negative place. I wanted to go somewhere positive, but I wasn't sure how until I stepped into the tracker. And I don't want to blow my own horn here, but it seems to be working. And I'm interested for this title. By the way, I haven't gotten Conrad's. I mean, I've tried to wormed it out of him before, but one of my suggestions was I'm using this tracker inside my daily planner, or my daily what do you call it? Dailies.
Yeah, daily quests.
My
Yeah.
daily quest. Thank you for that terminology. And so it's like right now, Conrad's got a part where you go down and it asks you about your feelings or your the situation that you're in,
Ooh.
and um, and so it's like I kind of put my version of it right there. And so when I get down there and it's like I have a really important thought that I haven't been able to get past, it's like I'll ask it there, and so I kind of work it into my whole Codex 3 setup.
Yeah, let me see if I can bring a version out for let's say, let me just actually open it up because I think it's important for us to show how that works, just as an example even. So
And I have
I'm
to, if you're going to go to my thing, it's like, no,
oh no,
I'm
I'll
not
go to
caught
my
up.
own. I'll go to my own. Don't
Oh,
worry.
okay. Okay.
I won't do you like that, Anne.
Okay.
No, well, as an example, let's go to one of our keep it simple dashboards, and we're going into our make life simple. And let's say we're trying to get our day started, right? So right
Hold on.
here we have our daily
Go
quests.
ahead and put him to bed, Rich. Okay, go
We
ahead. I
have
had
our
to do
daily
that.
quests here. And then basically what Anne's talking about is like when you're doing your today's reflection, you can
Yeah.
basically embed all sorts of databases into here. Again, that's the beauty of using Notion. And basically what I have is I like to put my affirmations, right? So, first I think about any breakthrough insights last night. Did I wake up feeling refreshed about a problem that I've been thinking about so deeply and finally, I got the answer. Eureka moments. I write it down first thing in the morning when I wake up. Then I try to tell myself something nice, right? Maybe I'm feeling a certain feeling. Maybe I'm feeling, low energy, uncertain, lonely, rejected, whatever, right? And there's positive feelings here too. It's not just negative feelings. But the whole idea is that this is loading from our database where we have, hundreds of community members putting in, hundreds of entries, right? Of, feelings and situations that they found themselves in and how they got over it, how they were able to conquer that situation or feeling, and what did they tell themselves in that time period, because we suck at telling ourselves nice things, we suck at telling ourselves the right things we need to hear. So it's essentially a way
And
for you to pull that information
this is
from.
exactly where we put the self-regulation tracker, right
mm,
here underneath feelings. Because if we're not sure of our feelings, it gives us an avenue to dig deeper.
yeah, so basically like I can kind of see, like, so for example, if I open low energy, right, I can see these are affirmations that may help me, and I can see who submitted it, and who was the one behind that affirmation to then be like, oh my gosh, this helped me, right? You're able to vote on it as well and say this was useful. So either way, I think the more tools you have to analyze your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, the better. And I think, and you're absolutely right in adding one more row here to then do your self-regulation tracker and say, hey, this was like a big thing that I've been trying to battle. It's been on the top of the mind, it's been haunting me, I can't sleep about it, I can't wake up and I start thinking about it. I just needs to get out of my psyche, which I believe is what we're doing now today with your candy bar experience.
And even though I have a psychiatrist that I see a couple times a day, it's like, no, this is good for me. This is me taking care of my stuff. And it's like, if there's time in the session, I'll say, oh, let's take a look, and he'll, zoom in on my thing, and it's like I'll show him, and he'll skim over it and he'll read it, and like he could ask a question from there. But I've done a lot of the work for him. It's like I've already processed a lot, and so he can come in and just do some fine tuning, which is great.
Awesome. Okay, so let's move on. Obstacles.
Okay. What are the obstacles?
Hmm.
Um, you know, I, courage. I'm going to put courage.
Okay.
And it's kind of a funny thing because I can be open to all you guys, but the courage to change, I mean, that's a little bit harder. I have to do something different. And, it's like I don't have it framed out exactly yet, but I know it's coming. So that's the obstacle right now. Okay.
Interesting. I think we'll go back to that, but I have a question about that. We'll get back to that. I have a curious thought about that statement.
Oh, ask. What do you have?
No. I think we'll be
Yeah.
able to process it as we move on. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
The next thing is, oh, wait a second. Where's my thing? Oh, you're going to add it to it there. Okay.
Go ahead.
The next one, 6A. Okay, this is where, and I think there's some of you that may have been working with cognitive distortion therapy or cognitive distortion. cognitive behavioral therapy before. And this is keying in on that part right now. Basically, cognitive distortion, yeah, the first one, if you could make big, and the rest is just kind of like the same thing. Cognitive distortions are things that go on in your brain that keep you from thinking properly about something. And I'm not talking about properly like, what somebody else might think, properly, like just that makes sense. If you go down, okay, can you go back up to the top part first again? Go back to
Oh,
6.
yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead.
right now, this one here. Okay, there's 4 boxes: 6A, 6B, 6C, 6D, and they're all the same ones except for there was 16 cognitive distortions, so I put 4 in each of the boxes. And so there's there's no graduated one's more important than the other. You basically hit each of the 4. And so it's like if you stop on 6A now, I'm going to look for one of these things. Okay, like I'm going to choose overgeneralization, and we're just going to use that to test it. Go ahead and click it. And to understand this better now, you can go down to the where you were going before, right, to the abbreviated descriptions and overgeneralization. And it's like it reads, this sneaky distortion takes one instance or example and generalizes it to an overall pattern. Before I go any further, it's like I'm going to say that I have overgeneralized Rich's behavior. I think that he's going to become an ogre, and because of that, I'm allowing it to, to go through fear. And so
Mm.
that's my example of overgeneralization. Is I've overblown his ogre role. So okay,
Would you
all of them.
explain that here, or would you just leave it as something that
No,
is in your mind?
no, it's just something in my mind. It's something, it's like,
Okay.
okay, as I'm processing it, okay, go back to 6A again. Let me see if 6A on the top. Yeah, let me see if there's any other ones. All or none thinking. I don't think that.
I think you excluded the positive. I don't think you see any
Yeah,
positive in your
you're
situation
right.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's a better description. I don't know to understand these 2 last ones, but let's go into 6B.
Okay, 6B. Go ahead.
Um, Knowing what the other person, I know what Rich is going to respond, and that's like an assumption, and that's
Uh,
bad. Making predictions with no evidence, I'd say yes, because I'm thinking he's going to be just really extremely angry. Exaggerating, minimizing, or I've catastrophized the situation. I've blown this so out of proportion. It's just very bad. Um, and emotions as facts. I mean, that to me is like, because I'm scared, it's like, okay, that's a fact that I should be scared, and it's not a fact. It's something that I might feel, but it's not a fact. I don't have to be scared. There's nothing really scary about this. I ate candy bars, they're done, and it's over, and now we're just moving through it. So those are things that help me, kind of put this all in perspective. So the 6C,
okay.
and I would recommend going through these really quick too, is learn more on the bottom what they believe. What should or ought to do. I don't know what I ought to do yet. Okay. Extreme label, judgments of self. I've said, yeah, okay. We have all or nothing. We have all or none as to self. I'm not going to go into that one. I don't know what it is right now. No self-control. I'm helpless. Okay. I'm going to claim helplessness at this point. Like I haven't
Okay.
been able to fix it. Okay. 6D. This is the last one on the 6s.
Mm.
Okay. I don't have anything to do with fair. There's nothing to do with fairness. We can will or expect others to change. No, I don't want him to change. I'm not willing that. We must always be right. No, I'm okay. And struggling and suffering will lead to, that's not it either. It's like I'm saying that if I suffer enough, then that's going to lead me right to heaven. And no,
Oh
that's
no.
not it. But these are the ones that bothered me, and it's like if I were doing this and I had the time, then I would go and I'd really try to study that a little bit more and kind of try to figure out. And one of the other great things about the tracker is that it allows you to build, because this is just one day straight across, and so you can go back, and after a while, like I find that I overgeneralize and I focus on the negative a lot. And so it's like if I keep seeing that pop up, and it's like, okay, maybe I really have to deal with that.
Yeah. And actually, a chat that I'm seeing right now in the chat, in the live chat, Thomas, you have been a great source of value in this live stream today, because I also endorse that book a lot. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, by Shed Helmsetter. It is a fantastic book. It definitely was the inspiration for me actually to start the self affirmation lookup database. So 100% endorse it. Dean, Darius, if you, Darius seems like you've read it already, which is great. Dean, you should definitely read it. It's a very positive book, and I think definitely in line with everything we're talking about here. I think everything, like, not to say that there's nothing new under the sun, but there's always different ways of seeing something. And I think, and we had a funny discussion about this last night in our daily accountability call, which was like, hey, sometimes when you come up with the words to describe a certain concept, right, or if you picked it up by yourself through reading or through watching a video or whatever, right, you digest it and process it a lot better than if someone was forcing that opinion on you. So throughout everything that we're sharing, right, we're not forcing it. We're just saying that, hey, this is something that we use, that we find valuable, that you might too as well, right? And hopefully you learn something. And if you don't want to learn it from us, learn it from somewhere else, right? Feel free to Google it. Everything that we're doing and sharing is completely researchable. It's very evidence based. It's not just our words, it's the words of many experts beyond us. So definitely, I think there's a lot of value, and thank you so much for sharing, Thomas. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
we're
ahead.
moving on. 7. Okay, this is where we get to the self-affirmations. Okay, this one I suggest that you review your 3 strongest feelings on your specific situation. And so it's like, this is where we go back to number 2, and it's like, by this time we've gone through a lot of experiencing the situation, and you're a little bit tired of it, I'm sure. It's like, if you're writing it or reading it, but it's like, it's all a process, and you don't have to do this about every situation that come up, and maybe you only do it one every 5 or 6 days, but it's here, it's a tool. So I am going to go with all the insight we've learned so far from doing it. I'm going to ask you to go back to 2, and let's review those things, and let me try to pick out 3 that are the worst. Okay, and if you scroll over so we can see 2C and D. Okay. I'm going to go to the tertiary negative ones first.
Okay, so these ones.
Right.
I wonder, sorry, I'm just gonna do
Go
something for
ahead.
you. I'm gonna make this linked view inside here as well, so that we don't have to scroll up, scroll down. Let's do this
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, so let's put this, and then we're going to, because we already know these things, we're going to make it on the right. We're going to move this all the way to the right, because we're not filling in anymore, right? We're just trying to see, we're just trying to remind ourselves. Perfect. So now you can see it very easily here. What do you think?
I like
so you
it.
can see it right above.
That's really nice. That's really nice, Conrad.
Go ahead.
That helps so much, because it keeps everything in the same thing. I would say, I guess I feel stressed yet, but I don't seem to feel all these negative ones as badly on the tertiary level. I don't feel like it's out of control. It's like, somehow it feels like I've been helped through this experience so far. And I know it sounds canned or corny, but it really is like, we've traveled here as a group. I think we've progressed. I'm still worried. I'm not overwhelmed. It's like, okay, I'm getting closer being able to do something. Horrified. I'm not in dread. I'm anxious. Okay, so I'm worried, I'm anxious, and I'm still perplexed because I don't understand the real deep meanings. And so we have to have a place. Can you find a way to put a place so we can write those 3 feelings
Oh,
down
we need to
just to hold
highlight
it?
them, right? Highlight them. Yeah, okay. So worried, anxious, perplexed.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are your
Okay.
main 3 feelings. Let's start there.
Okay. And I have to write them next. I can never remember from one thing to the next. Okay, so this is where we go to the where it says the feelings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and if you put that in the search thing, let's see if those feelings are in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna search. We want anxious. I'm sure anxious is in there. So you want anxious. So we are searching that
Okay,
up.
so you click it on there. Okay, let me see. And now we have 3 different things that have been put in, and I know that if you want to put in other affirmations, keep adding, keep adding. The more, the merrier. And it's like, whatever's important to you. Let me see for a second if there's anything that stands out. Can you click on that middle one?
Here.
Because I feel like right now you guys are my universe.
Right. So this is submitted by Dean.
Okay. Yeah, I
Amazing.
like this one. Oh, thank you, Dean. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dean.
This is one I would copy over.
So we copied that. We're gonna bring it down here, and to
Yep.
help us stop feeling anxious, we have this one. So anxious. Maybe we'll even do this. Anxious dash
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and that helps a lot too, because when you copy it over, it's like into the daily. Then it's you remember why you were there.
100%. So next one is worried, right? Let's go into worried. Yep. So we're going up. We're gonna search on worried. Oop. I didn't
What'd you do there?
do that.
Yeah, go to your field.
Wait, that did it again. No shit.
Right,
what you doing? All right, here. Worried. There you go. Okay, and worried is another feeling we have in here. Awesome.
Oh,
there's a few for you to choose. Go ahead.
I'm going to take the second one.
I'll accept and embrace everything that happens. This was submitted by Alyssa. Awesome. See, everyone's showing up. These are all shout outs. I love it. I will accept and embrace everything that happens. Awesome.
I'll be surprised if Perplex is in there, but
I don't think Perplex is in there. I don't remember seeing.
Oh no, I bet you Perplex is in there because I added some from this wheel, but I don't know.
Oh my gosh, you have it. But it's no affirmation.
Oh yeah, there's nothing. Okay, so at this point, if I knew what was going on, I would go to Google and I would say Perplex self-affirmation, and I would look for it, and then I would add it to this database. That's what I would do. Right. Because now I'm confused by Perplex. So is there anything there that you can choose from?
I think right now, no, but I would also say like perhaps a more beneficial is like if you are able to add one that actually helped you. So right now, what helps you? I guess that also comes with the research, right? But like right now,
I know one. Yeah. I know one. When this is one, and you can type this. Well,
I guess I'll type it. I'll take the credit. Go ahead.
When in doubt, trust. And then you go ... who is it that you trust? I trust Dr. Marvin. If in doubt, then I'm going to go to him and I'm going to trust him to help me out. So it's like you're not alone. And so everybody would fill in their own person here. So maybe you'd say trust blank line.
What does it really mean? Fill in the blank with someone that cares about you. Open up to them. Yeah. This is a new affirmation, so this one was submitted. This helped Ann. I'm just gonna So normally you can put like some real story, some action steps you can take. So really just enriching the data here.
The pictures is real important too, because it's like, and I know we talked to Krista about going and looking for pictures for these things. It's like it's such a beautiful experience to find something that matches your feeling.
Amazing. Okay, well, we'll do that next time. So for now, let's just get into it. So we have Perplexed. So, this is, you're going to fill Dr. Marvin.
You got it. Okay, so that's all 7A. We're almost done.
I feel like we really went through a trek here. 8, we're there.
Yeah. This is why psychiatrists get paid. You know that. 8 is... This is kind of like the summarization. It's like pulling your things together. It's the starting process of pulling things together. And so what was learned briefly, for one, I'm not alone, and it's like the happenstance of you all being here this particular day, or others that view the video later. It's like it makes it feel nice. And it's like it feels real.
It is very real.
Conrad, I can't thank you enough. I just every time I had a chance to work with you like this, I just feel like you're so wise beyond your years. So you can put that in a way that Ann might say it.
Conrad, I will leave that for you to fill out. I will not toot my own horn, but I appreciate your kind words. I just hope to be of help in your journey for sure, Ann. So I appreciate being here.
How is it applicable now? If Rich hasn't heard it, I mean, I think that I can go in afterwards and he's going to say, how was the meeting? I'm going to say, it was great. And we just talked about this the whole time and I want to talk about it. So it's like, it is going to allow me to walk into him. I mean, I've gone through enough my feelings and thoughts, and I feel stronger about that part of it. I think I still have to talk to Dr. Marvin about the self-destructiveness, because when you're diabetic, eating a lot of sugar is very self-destructive, and I hadn't thought about that before.
Right.
Next step, this is almost done. Invest in well-being. Okay, this is really important. This is that whole part about self-regulation, about doing another step and another step and another step, and really doing the adapting. It's like walking away from the point where I'm going to close these windows down. What is it that I'm going to do next? And I would say at this point, that I'm probably going to go have that piece of cake that Rich left me on the counter. And I'm going to go and talk to him. I think as far as the next step, I could make a list of reasons why the behavior was dangerous. And so it's like, if I look at it objectively, I should be more real about, maybe not laugh my way through it this next time, but really do some soul searching as far as what it was that I did to myself in just that one act. So that's something I could do. Okay, we're going to move on that one. I think everybody's probably wanting to go to bed by now. Okay, this is the last part. This is where everything gets put together. It's like we've done all these sections one at a time. I do a lot of making these things. Oh, and this one I left open. It just happens to be in the sort that I can see all of the ones for each of the days consecutively, and so this is the one where I start scanning up and down for things that are similar to each other. But if you go from left to right, you see the whole thing, and it's like you get a kind of like an above airplane view of everything that you've been gone through. And hopefully when you're doing this, something stands out, and then there's just the one last question, and that's any last conclusions. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to order a box of candy again. I haven't gotten to that conclusion before, but I think at this point I could say it. I did have one experience before that I'll probably talk to Dr. Marvin about when I add this, is that at one point I ordered 3 bags of marshmallows when Rich was gone. And these are my 2 overindulgence issues that I've had. So those are probably both comparative. And so when I talk to Dr. Marvin about it, he'll be able to remember something that happened there, what we learned from it, or how we were able to grow from that experience, and why was it that we had a regression back to that, what else is going on in our life. So that is it.
I helped you change a little bit of it. Never order an excessive amounts of candy again. I think ordering candy is good. Excessive amount is too much.
Candy or sweets, you have to do it, because we have to be inclusive of those marshmallows.
And I think this is so cool because now we're holding you accountable. We're here. Our live stream is here. We're gonna hold you accountable. Our community knows about this now. We're gonna be like, Ann,
oh Lord,
you can't do this anymore, Ann. And we're here for you. We're here to help. And I think that might be also a really interesting thing if we have like a relation at the very end here that relates to this master database where everybody in the community can kind of pull in like their conclusions of whatever, and then we can all hold each other accountable on whatever action should be taken from that. I think that would be pretty cool.
If you could, just take a line and copy paste it over, it's like, okay, this one was really important to me. I'd like to share it with the community. And so it's like, can you take one of these things and drop it into a group one?
I think we can. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. I think there's a lot of ways that we can make this even more collaborative. I think for now, this has been, something that hopefully was helpful for everyone watching. And thank you all for watching until now, for sure.
One thing I'd like to say is I just glanced over at Thomas, and he had said he was guilty of emotional eating, and that's like the beginning of this thing, is that it was emotional. But I think that goes along with what you're saying about a community one, and it's like we can learn from each other's, sometimes fault, sometimes excitement. I mean, you can do this positive stuff too, really.
100%. Any last thoughts you want to share with the audience before we decide the end of our stream for today?
I just want to say thank you for letting me do this, Conrad. I thought I was going to go a different direction, but you're always we always call what you do here magic, and tonight was just the same. Thank you.
No, I think this is magical, and I'm sharing this on the screen, like this view, because I want to just show like this is the journey that we went on together. Like, do you see this? And this is okay. Actually, let's do this scrolling slowly, because I think that gives us the most effect here, right? Like, this is huge. Look at this. We have distilled down, your something that's been keeping you up at night, right? And getting down to the nitty gritty of exactly how you feel about the situation. What can you do about it? What are the biases that are controlling your feelings about this, right? And I think that's really
and
one
it's
of the
never
most
an
important
easy
bits.
thing. When you get something stuck in your mind, it's like it's never an easy thing. It's always a little bit more complex. And so if you give it the time and energy to really figure it out, I am curious about anything as far as what people thought when they were listening to this. I guess more as far as could they imagine themselves using something like this? Is it too tiresome? Just a little bit of feedback that way.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, like I don't see this being used for every single thing that happens in my life, obviously. But I definitely think like again, the things that keep me up at night, this would be so helpful because, you know, the most people have these things that, and again, I'm just my reference point is my friends and family, right? But for my friends and family, whenever we have something that keeps us up at night, usually it's something that will last like weeks, if not months, before we ever get to the point of like, resolution. And I think that this is going to be huge in the sense that, hey, an hour or 30 minutes of self reflecting and self analyzing to replace weeks and months of depression, right? Or at least anxiety or whatever feeling you're feeling because of that. So I think this is something that, like Darius is saying, is something that would be very helpful for meaningful concerns, and definitely something that I would use for things that are, frustrating in my life, to say the least. Yeah.
It's always really cool when you could talk to other people, but when it comes down to it, we're the ones that are responsible to change life for our own benefit. And it's like, if I go and I don't take care of what I just said I was going to do, be accountable, then it's like I'm the one that's getting hurt. I'm the one that looks at myself the next day and say, are you real?
100%. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want this tracker for yourself, it is going to be made entirely free, just because we want to make sure that everybody is able to use this to the best of their ability. The only requirement is join our community. If you're inside our community, we'll be posting this inside our family workspace. You can take a look, you can grab it, you can duplicate it, whatever you need. This is a tracker for you, and I believe you're going to continuously improve it as we do for all our resources. So it's always going to be improved over time. And definitely, I think almost Thomas is also asking like graphs, and analytics. 100%. It's gonna keep being better. It's gonna keep growing.
Oh, that would be
And
cool.
yeah, so join us in the community. We talk about cool stuff like this all the time. We have meaningful discussions. We try to have one meaningful conversation every single day. And this is one of the benefits that you can get for being with us. And again, a huge thank you to Anne for participating in this live stream. Thank you so much for adding your expertise, your experience, and being open with us. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. And thank you for sharing your experience today. And I hope you have a wonderful resolution of your situation in the next few hours.
Okay. Thank you, Conrad. Thank you very much.
Please take care. Have a good night, everybody. And or for everyone in Asia time zone, have a great rest of your weekend. Bye bye now.